Hi, everyone. I'm here with Mike Stern, and this is your DJ name too, right? DJ Mike Stern?
DJ Mike. I usually drop the DJ. For a while, I went with DJ, but it also just sounds like I just play music. I also make music and do lots of other things. So,
yes.
Mike Stern.
Yeah, exactly. Mike Stern, DJ and producer, and you also the collective Club Evil, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah. So tell me, what do you want to start with? Like, there's so much.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess like let's just start like kind of how I got into the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then ask me questions. Seriously, I'm an open book. I'm happy to answer everything. So interestingly, grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and my parents used to own an entertainment agency when I was growing up that would book out like bands and DJs and actors and stuff like that for like bar mitzvahs and weddings and sweet 16s and corporate events and any little thing that was happening. And they started doing that just before I was born. So, you know, I just kind of grew up around that like party entertainment world. And when I was about 12, one of the DJs just needed an extra hand carrying wires. At that time I was in gymnastics, so I was like strong. I was like strong enough to help carry like 75-pound speakers if I needed to. And so I did. And when I went along,
that's pretty impressive, actually. Let's pause for a second. 75 speakers when you were like, how old were you? Like a teenager?
Yeah, I was 12. Yeah, 12 and 11.
Okay.
Oh yeah, dude, I was doing standing backflips and like iron cross ring techniques at that time. It was crazy.
I'm envisioning this so hard right now, and I am delighted.
I'll show you some. I'll show you a picture. I have a couple pictures of me like super young. I'll dox myself. It's totally fine. I don't care.
Yes, why not? It's like it's you. You're amazing. Are you still this strong? You're probably still really strong.
My muscles are pretty good, but I certainly am not like I don't hold a candle to who I was back then. I was 5% body fat. It was stupid. It was absolutely stupid.
What about glory days, like when you're
right. Yeah, so I was carrying wires for this guy, and you know, I was 12. I couldn't drive, so I would just like sit behind him and watch him DJ. And I did this like, you know, maybe once a month or so, and then a few months in, I was just like, so like, what are you doing? What is this? Like, I know you're playing music, but like, how do you decide? How do you make things happen? And he kind of just explained a little bits and pieces to it. And then like a month or two later, he's just like, hey, I got to hit the bathroom. Can you like on the next song, like press play and put the volume up on this one and cut this one? I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, I'll be back in like 2 minutes, and like runs back. And then a couple times after that, he's like, hey, like you pretty much know what you're doing. Like you already know this music. Like, how about you just, I want to go play a game with the kids. Can you just play like 3 or 4 songs while I'm like schmoozing and stuff like that? I was like, yeah, sure. And after that, he's like, hey, I'm going to go do this. Do me a favor. Can you take like the next like 30 minutes? And then it was like, hey, can you take the first hour? Hey, can you take cocktail hour and a couple games? Hey, do you want to do this? And then at some point, he's just like, okay, how about I'll just MC, you do the DJing part, and we'll just go for it. I'm like, great. He's like, I'll throw you a couple extra, some extra money for it. I was like, cool. And then from there, we just started doing like the DJ MC thing instead of doing all that. And it was for like, you know, bar mitzvahs. So like I was maybe 14.
I was going to say, you're like 13, 14. I mean, like, oh my God.
Right. I just got out of bar mitzvah season. Like, I went to a Jewish day school growing up. So there were 49 people in my class, all of which had bar mitzvahs.
So many bar mitzvahs.
So I already knew how everything worked. I already knew what was going on, but now I'm getting paid to do it from the other side. And I've always loved music, so it was just easy for me to jump into that. So, you know, I did that, and for a while I was his DJ, and then they started booking me out for other events. And then, you know, I'm a natural talker, so they're like, hey, you want to try getting on the mic, doing some MC work? So I started doing that right around the time that I was like 17, maybe late 16, early 17. I just started like booking things out, doing everything myself, doing all the coordination and everything in between, and making a lot more money doing it. You know, bought my own equipment, bought my own speakers instead of having to rent them, bought all that, and then started doing that, plus doing the occasional wedding when they would trust a young guy to do that stuff, doing corporate gigs and stuff like that. Then I hit college. And just before my freshman year of college, I found dubstep for the first time. And I'd never heard anything like it. I was a metalhead back in the day, and so like
into like harder shit.
yeah. And so like despite the fact that like my dad's a rocker, my mom was like an 80s disco girl. So you know, I kind of ended up on the far spectrum of all that. I'm like, give me the darkest shit you can find. But then I found dubstep and it changed my fucking life. I went out to some shows. I was like, oh, this is super cool. I started listening to nothing but like dubstep and progressive-y kind of stuff. And when I was in college, I ended up getting taken to a electronic music show, like a real small electronic music show. I don't even particularly remember who it was. I've been telling people it was Thomas Gold, who used to be really cool. But I literally do not remember who it is. And I just remember walking around thinking like, this is a club. This isn't like a show. That's not why I'm here. It's a club. I'm supposed to go out, I'm supposed to have fun with the homies, you know, whatever. And then I overheard these people being like, oh yeah, last time I saw him, he was awesome. He played a 4-hour set, open to close. It was so sick. And then I'm gonna go see him again in wherever the heck they were gonna go see him. And I was like, are they talking about the person who's playing tonight? And then I walked up to him and I was like, you're talking about the DJ? They're like, yeah. And I'm gonna say it's Thomas Gold. Yeah, Thomas Gold. He's incredible. I was like, and you're here to see the DJ, not to just go to a club. And they're like, yeah, what are you talking about? Obviously, like, why else would I be here?
Interesting. So it was like a big turning point.
A huge moment for me where I just realized, I was like, wait a second, this thing that I've been doing to make money for the last like few years, to play the same pop bullshit that everybody wants to hear, that you hear every weekend, you hear on the radio, just like, there are people who do it professionally and people are interested in them and know who they are. That's incredible. So I like went back to my dorm, broke out I had a DDJ-SX. I still own it to this day. It's sitting in the corner. Like the original before it even had colors on it. And
that's amazing. You didn't even box that, you know?
Definitely. Somebody was saying the other day that they want to gut theirs out and put it up on the wall. I was like, that would be so sick to have like your old DJ rigs just like on your wall.
It's kind of like the people who like frame their first check that they got for their business, or the first $20 they earned at their bit. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of the same.
There's like a small part of me that like kind of hopes that it becomes like something cool that people will remember, but the DDJ-SX wasn't that important, so it probably will never happen with that.
It's your history. It's your you're hoping you can maybe resell it later. Like somebody will be like,
that's sort of what I was sort of thinking. I'm such a collector kind of guy. Like I have all my old game systems. I went back to my parents' house because they're like they're probably gonna be moving in the not too distant future. And I just like collected all my old game systems that I've been hiding in like a drawer in the basement and sent them over here. Got my old Dreamcast back. It's awesome.
So you say you're a collector. Others might say hoarder. Depending on how far into the future we are.
Big facts. My father likes to watch the show Hoarders just to remind himself that he's not that bad. So he's like, I'm not at this point. I'm not even close to this point. Like I'm doing okay.
I'm fine. I don't have cats dying on me in the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's also cleverly spun that into his full-time career now, which he can do pretty much remotely, which is he like buys like electronics and video equipment and stuff like that and lighting equipment from auctions, and then resells it on eBay. So by collecting and knowing a lot about the different things, he like has turned that hoarding mentality into a career. So
but that's the thing, is like you take like this obsession, this fixation, this like quirk that you have, and if you can figure out how to monetize it.
That's where I am with music. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Like
why? All are.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the same thing with this, with the Marloww Mixdowwn. Like I have almost a decade worth of interviewing experience in my day job. So it's like, this is just a no-brainer. It's just such an easy, effortless transition. And you, with making money as a DJ that young and have it coming so easily to you, is also indicative of alignment. You know, it's like 100%. Things don't have to be hard. They can be challenging. Like, things shouldn't be like super easy or we wouldn't appreciate them. But at the same time, we shouldn't always be like climbing an uphill battle, right?
Yeah, going against the flow, 100%. Like, for some reason, you have knowledge on this thing, right? And it's like,
yeah,
you know, this slight tangent, but I promise I'll bring it back. I always think about, like, when you're a kid, people ask you, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And there's like, by answering that question when you're a kid, you have like, what, 20 set answers that are possible, because that's what jobs look like to you when you're a kid, right? A doctor, a lawyer, a rock star,
right.
You know, like,
it's like the game of life.
Yeah, like, exactly. There's only so many cards, so many options, and that's what you get. But in reality, the jobs that are most rewarding are the ones that you create yourself by using, like, the different influences and the knowledge that you have, right? Like, you know, like, I know the music industry, I know the business industry, but I'm not going to be like, I want to be a record exec when I grow up, you know, or that might even be too vague. Like, I want to be a collective owner and promoter and DJ, you know, like that would never happen when you're a kid.
You don't even know that exists when you're that young. It's like, like the hierarchy of knowledge, the intricacy, the webbing.
Yeah, and honestly, as an adult, sometimes too, you don't even realize where these knowledge, these troves of knowledge should be going, you know? Like, there's a job that might not have a name, or might be named 18 different things depending on what company you're at, or might not even be in existence yet, and you have to create it and do it yourself. But that's where you're best served, is by, like, making that a thing.
Right. Oh, right. Exactly. Well, exactly. Yeah. It's how we're all best served. You know, it's a tangent, but it's a good one, because I think that it's, you know, I think it is about, like, in LA, there is so much noise that if you don't have that North Star, if you don't have that compass, you can feel very lost here very quickly. It's,
and many people have, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, more tangents, but I love this about this kind of real interview.
Exactly. Well, that's the whole point of this, is like, you know, it's like we're exposing everybody to who you are, and this is what makes Mike.
Do not hesitate to snap me onto an actual track and ask me a question that you want me to answer. Because
we're talking about DJing, though. You know what I mean? I'm going to move on to production here soon. Yeah, we're going to talk about production soon, because I definitely want to hear more about that. But DJing, I mean, we're still at the epiphany moment.
Yeah, we're still in Baltimore, which, I mean,
I guess you're like not even. Yeah, I mean, you're still East Coast. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, like, my friend moved to LA. He spent some time in LA as a high school kid, and then came out to Baltimore and spent most of his life in Baltimore. And then, like, 6-7 years ago, was like, I'm gonna move out to Pasadena. I was like, cool. He's like, sweet, man, like, come visit me sometime. And then he came back in like 9 months. He's like, I couldn't do it. I hate that place. I don't want to be there. And then when I was like, I'm moving out to LA, he's like, I'll see you in 8 months. And here I am almost 4 years later. Like, I'm never going back.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. It's like, once you come out here, if you can make, like, why would you ever go back east? No offense to anybody listening that's like an East Coaster. And
the reason is because you don't have that North Star, or you don't have a reason to be out here. Why pay the high rents and deal with the craziness in the city if it's not something that you're passionate, if there's not some reason you're doing it,
right?
You know,
even if you are passionate about it, if you don't find the right community, you're gonna get honestly eaten up and chewed up and spit up. Like, you're 100%. Not. You have to have the community here. So
100%.
Yeah. So, okay, so you moved out 4 years ago. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're
Middle
welcome.
of COVID. Yeah, I worked in.
That's a bold move.
Yep. Oh, I worked in restaurant life for a while. I was a server for 9 years. And then shortly before COVID hit, I found apartment leasing. So like,
Sweet.
you know, little sales, little commission based, very much like serving. And while I'm sitting in this lockdown apartment office, I realized that rent prices were dropping like crazy everywhere. And then I looked at the rent prices in LA and they were like almost lower than they were in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah. Wow.
And at the time I was like, I had been crashing with my parents for like 8, 9 months, just trying to stack some money so I could get back out and play music and be making music and, you know, just kind of figure this job out because the job was literally walking distance from my parents' house. So why not at that point, right?
Right.
And now I'm locked in with my parents, locked in with now ex-girlfriend, and who was crashing with my parents as well. And I was just like, I need to get the hell out of here. And I saw
Yeah.
the prices were super low, and I looked at my girlfriend at the time. And I was like, want to go to California? She's like, yeah, let's go to Menifee. Like, no. If I move to California, I'm moving to Los Angeles. Like,
Yeah. Where is Menifee?
it's in bumfuck nowhere. I
Why
mean,
was that selected? Is there interest in Menifee?
yeah, she had lived out there for 2 years. She had some friends out there. I'm like, great, you can move to Menifee.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can just see each other. It's fine. Needless to say, everything didn't work out that way. But I ended up moving to LA shortly after we broke up. Actually, no, sorry, before we broke up. I was hanging out with one of my friends who I knew from Baltimore out here while she was at work, and they go, "Hey, come to this party with us. You got to meet the guy who owns this place, Dan. He runs a collective called Club Evil, and he loves house music. You two would get along so well."
Oh my God.
So, right. So I go over there, don't have any opportunity to talk to him. And I'm literally about to walk out the door. And my friend grabs me and goes, yo, no, before you leave, you have to talk to Dan. Like, let me get him for you. And drags me over. Dan's in the middle of a conversation. He's like, whoa, dude, here, talk to Mike. We end up talking about like music for like 15, 20 minutes and everything like that. And he goes, send me some of your music and come play at Dirty Laundry for me like 2 weeks from now. I was like, okay. But you know, my girlfriend at the time worked every single Friday. So I had nothing to do. So I just showed up the next week and he and I talked for like an hour and a half at the show. And then I showed up next week and I played and he's like, dude, you were great. Honestly, I booked myself twice on this gig, so I got this next hour open. You want a back to back? So I did my hour plus our back to back hour. Then I just showed up the week after that and like talked, and the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that, and eventually like he had a relationship that was ending, my relationship was ending, and I had a 2-bedroom apartment home. Like, you want to move in and hang out and like do the studio thing together? And he's like, yes, please. And we ended up doing that. A bit after that, I saw that he was stressed out booking things for Club Evil. I'm like, how can I do the extroverted side of the stuff that you don't enjoy doing so that you could do more of the stuff you do enjoy doing? And I took on some of that responsibility. And dude, we've been an awesome duo ever since. And I couldn't be in a better place.
I love Club Evil. I love you guys together. I fucking love Club Evil. It's my favorite. The boiler room atmosphere that you guys got going on. It's fantastic. So
the energy in there is phenomenal. And I'm so happy. It wasn't always like that though, you know, like we had to go through a lot of changes. So at first, like most of the lighting that was in there didn't exist. Like we literally bought string lights off of like Temu and strung them up on the ceiling and then controlled it from a phone app. And then those started failing. And the guy who owns the club was like, okay, I'm going to get you some nicer ones, and got us some big, nice ones, but they're way bright and the phone app isn't as good. So, but it's still, you know, we figured we could take this whole thing and turn it into something that we wanted, monochrome red, you know, old school, like it's a boiler room, like treat it as You know, like
Yes.
exposed pipes everywhere. Like, how do we make it feel a little bit more cyberpunky, or something a little bit more like, you know, Neo Tokyo-esque, you know,
Uh-huh.
something that's more our style. Because honestly, when we first started, all the visuals behind the screen were not like they are now. They used to be like raunchy naked anime girls. Like, I mean, like, you would see like straight up butthole on the screen. Like,
Oh my God. Wait, is this what you guys did? Or this was
oh yeah,
before
yeah,
this
yeah. No,
you
this is
guys
us.
had straight
Yeah,
up butthole on the screen?
straight
Yes.
up butthole, dude. Like, and there's a couple with like this girl who would like drop her panties and then like turn around and bend over, and the camera would just zoom, and you'd get solid tight butthole. And we after a while we realized like we're scaring some people away. like we enjoyed it because it was like the ones who appreciated it really appreciated it. And the
Exactly. It's
people
so
who didn't
funny.
appreciate it, we would lose them forever. They would
Yeah,
never
yeah,
come.
they'll never come back. Yeah, that's too
Right.
niche. Yeah.
So if you watch our visuals now, there's still a little bit of that in there. You just have to like, it flashes by really quickly, but it's still like subliminally still some naked girls in there.
Oh, how evil of you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. How long were you guys using the super raunchy graphics?
Oh, it had to have been 8-9 months of
Wow.
maybe even slightly longer, because it all really changed when we got an opportunity to throw our own afters. We got connected with a guy who owned this warehouse, really fleety guy, like just like very creative type, right? So his mind's all over the place,
Yep.
and he was just looking for somebody to help him fill this venue. And we're like, hey, take a chance on us. He gave it to us. And now that we had this thing that we got to shape from the ground up, it was like, how do we best do this?
Yeah.
And we thought about like the all red Neo Tokyo sort of
Yep.
thing, and our visuals, our graphics, our color scheme, everything in between had to sort of match it. And we weren't going to have these super bright, like kawaii anime girls, like showing vag on the screen, you know? So we're like, how can we do this, but make it more like futuristic? And so we started like, we all sat down and we would just download like sigils and different clips and images. And Dan, who is just a fucking wizard with everything he does, it's unbelievable.
He's a genius.
He's great. We like created this like it's like 5 circles, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right in the center, and they would flash different sigils and different images and things like that, like super fast. He made a 45-minute video of it that would just like would perfectly loop every single time. It would flash Club Evil in different places, and for the first one, like the faces of all the people who were on the lineup would flash for seconds, so you get like little subliminal messages like that. It was super cool, really awesome. The venue ended up not working out after our second time, but like it sent us on this new path of like what is possible, what can be done. And as soon as we started doing that, then the other after hours who were already like popping and were already connected with started paying attention to us, and started giving us opportunities. And it's just grown. Yeah, it's just grown.
You guys are regular. Yeah, you throw regular afters, don't you know?
Yeah, we do. We have a monthly, or we now have 2 monthlies. We have one where it's like so sick. One that's like it's called Label Battle. So there's another label that we've been doing it with called Club Level. And it's Club Level versus Club Evil, which is like, my only issue with it is that they're way too close to each other and people get us confused all the time.
Yeah, that's the problem with it. Yeah.
And especially when we play the same show all the time.
Club Evil is easier to remember, though, I will say. They're in the losing spot of that, I would say, because
I would agree with you.
But yeah, so you've been doing it with Club Level.
Right. Now we have another collective that we're working with called Coastal Hook. Those guys are super dope. They're really big into the UK garage scene. They've got some really hard hitters on their team of people who are releasing really cool music. They might be some cool people to talk to after this as well.
Yeah, please. Oh, I would love that. I would love that if you could introduce
And
me. That would be great.
yeah, for our first one, we were able to bring Hans Glader, who's like one of the big up and coming names in UKG.
Yeah, wow.
And Wes Pierce, who's also absolutely crushing things right now. And you know, we had an opportunity to do it at a small venue, and then circumstances just pushed us to the larger venue, and then we nearly sold it out. It was like, yeah, it was awesome, and just by happenstance. And then they came up to us and said, "Hey, let's make this a monthly." So that next one is on the 26th, 20. Oh no, sorry. Next week is on the 19th, followed by the 20th, which we're also playing, which is Anna Rave, but it's not our collective. So we're doing 2 days in a row.
19th, like this, like April 19th, and then April 20th. Okay. Correct. So yeah, this will probably air after that.
Yeah, I figured, but still, we have
when you have something, yeah, I'm just gonna list it in the description and in the post, so it's definitely gonna link to whatever. I mean, I'll just plan it so that it's before one of your monthlies.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So okay, so you're doing one on the 19th and then on the 20th. 20th is
Anna Rave, which we're just Dan and I are just playing to play, but not one of ours.
That's not one of yours. You're playing that, but on 419, is it an afters or is it a?
Yeah, it's the UKG after hours event at the big warehouse.
I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna come because it's actually my birthday on the 19th. So I'm playing at Los Globos for my birthday. Yeah. So and then I'll come to the afters. I'll come to that after.
Yeah. You're born on bicycle day. That's so sick.
Born on bicycle day. Yeah, it's a great day. There's a lot of crazy shit that happened on April 19th. Actually, like some dark shit. So we don't need to go.
I've looked into that too.
Yeah. So okay. So tell me. Okay. So that's Club Evil. We've talked about DJing. Well, we didn't really get all the way into DJing though. What style do you like to play?
I'm a house fanatic through and through. Like because I started out with like dubstep, and then I found the lighter side of like trance music, and then I found even lighter than that. Here, I'm going to turn that on. Do not disturb. Thank you.
Yeah.
And one day I found I guess originally I found Green Velvet.
Okay.
And I already knew who Green Velvet was because I knew Cashmere, his old thing, like "It's Time for the Percolator," which I used to play.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So I'd already known that, didn't realize it was the same person, stumbled into him at a music festival, or into his set at a music festival, and it just took me away. It was like the sexiest, weirdest, silliest, grooviest shit I've ever heard, and I never turned back. Like, I listened to lots of things, I explore lots of things, I make lots of things, but something about that 126 to 128 beat per minute, like slow, groovy, undulating bass line, push pull type stuff is just sexy and awesome to me. And I like, if I could never play anything else in my entire life, it would be that.
Amazing. That's amazing. So that's your favorite, but you can play anything.
I play lots of things. Yeah. I definitely have limits to what I will and will not play. I do not like things that are too mechanical sounding. Like, I love early dubstep. Like, I love like UK dubstep, Rusko, Caspa, Benga, Koki, Scream, old school Scream. But I like it because it's very moving and the subs make you dance. The dubstep nowadays is too transformative fucking for me.
Metallic. Yeah, it's very metallic. There's a lot of
it's all
there's a lot of like heavy bass and new trap that's like that too. And I don't like that. I like the old school trap sound from like 2016, 2017.
Me too. So, old school Troy Boy, Sound Snobs, that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yes. All about it. Yes. Yeah, the new stuff is too, like, dubstep for me used to be about the bass. And some people hear bass and they're like, blah, blah, that's a bass. It's like, no, that's a synth sound on top of the bass. You know, it's a mid bass. Like, I'm talking about like the sub, the way the sub moves. And a lot of new dubstep just goes like boo, 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 boo. It's all one note.
They probably don't really know how to work with the groove on the sub, right? You know,
for sure. And like, I used to be able to like go to shows that were playing like old school dubstep, and I could just like sit inside of the sub, like literally sit inside of the sub, like
Hmm.
crawl up inside there, just feel the way the frequencies move and
I
change.
mean, you're
And that
talking
would be
dirty, Mike. Huh, you're talking so
filth,
dirty.
filth. And like it was all like it was awesome. And ever like I don't know, ever since like 2016, 17, just doesn't sound like that anymore.
No, no, it
And
doesn't. It's a very harsh, like it's like very metallic, very like metal on metal, like nails
yeah,
on chalkboard. For
and
me, that's not me, so I'm not into,
I
yeah,
completely agree. And like I
yeah,
respect the sound design aspects of it, but it's not what I want to listen to.
right.
On that same note, like I do also really like I like deep dub. Like I like left field bass music, stuff that's really experimental and cool. That
Yeah,
maybe I'm not supposed to be dancing to, but I am, you know, because I
yeah,
can't help myself.
yeah, yeah.
But and then I love drum and bass. I absolutely love drum and bass. But it takes a good ear to really play drum and bass right, because some people will just come at you and play banger a lot like honestly a lot of different kinds of music, but people will just play like banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. And if you don't give me a chance to breathe, then I lose
Exactly.
interest.
The dubstep, I love dubstep too for like 2 songs. And then I need a break. Like, and I love dancing hard and I dance hard and I have a great stamina. Okay. But
Mhm.
dubstep, I mean, it's 160, 180 BPM. Like I can't,
Yeah.
nobody can do that. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, yeah,
same thing with hard techno. Like honestly, there's some
yeah,
super cool hard techno stuff out there, but it's too fast for me sometimes.
yeah.
Or and dubstep is sometimes too slow for me at that like halftime. Wah, wah,
Yeah.
wah,
It's so
you know.
interesting too, the halftime. Yeah. Cause it's almost like halftime, it feels so slow sometimes. And I can't, it doesn't mix in well. It's like I can't really take a break by going halftime. It's like too
100%.
much
Yeah.
of a break. You know what
And
I mean?
like
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, there are great DJs in all genres,
Yeah.
and there are people who do it right and there are people who do it wrong, in my personal opinion. But you know, if it doesn't move me, why would I want to play it?
Right. Right. Right.
So like I love my house music. I can do like a nice like trancey set. I love playing like progressive house like Hernan Catano and Lee Burridge and
Mhm.
Sasha Digweed, that kind of stuff, like the old school stuff. But there are very few venues that you can pull that off on, and very few crowds that like it's really meant for. Like when I'm at a desert festival, when I'm playing a desert festival and I just have like 8 hours just to play whatever the heck I want, great. I'll play it all. I'll play it forever. It's awesome,
Great.
but it's not for me. I've been really into this. The best way I can describe it. I don't even know how to describe it. A lot of people are like calling it like electro, but it's not what electro used to sound like. So I
Yeah.
don't call it that. I've been calling it like booty bass, and
Okay.
it's like almost Jersey Club,
Okay.
like like almost like DJ Assault, what DJ Assault used to do, or almost like, you know, like it's almost ghetto tech, but it's not quite ghetto tech, you know,
Okay.
but very like do 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 do.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You know,
Uh-huh.
that kind of like faster feel without it being like too Latin sounding. Like I
Mhm.
just think there's some really cool stuff coming out right now like that. And so Dan and I have been playing a bunch of that when we do our back-to-back sets.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that I'm really, really, really loving. UKG, obviously, I didn't even just kind of like skipped over that, but
Right.
yeah,
That's the, I mean, I love UKG too. So
but
yeah.
my heart and soul lives in that like minimal,
Mhm.
funky, funk based house. Think Dirty Bird from 2016. Like
Okay. Yeah.
Dirty
Yeah.
Bird
Yeah.
sounds like now, what Dirty Bird used to sound like.
Yeah, what Dirty Bird used to sound like. Yeah, exactly. Again, it's just a different sound. It was a
Yeah,
different sound mid 2000 or mid 2010s than it is
it's
now.
it's
And even you, what was that?
it's cheeky. It's like silly and weird and
This
doesn't
stuff
take
from like
it.
the 2015s or this? Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
exactly. Doesn't
doesn't
take
take
it
itself too seriously.
seriously. That's such a good way to describe it. I even like look at, so my favorite genre is trap, and I even look at like RL Grime as an artist and watching
Mhm.
his progression and the stuff that he made, honestly, before he took that residency in Vegas, and then the stuff he made when he was in residency. And now that he's not anymore, the stuff he's making now is sounding a little bit more like the RL from the mid 2010s.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to like watch the progression of these artists and how their sounds change and if we like it or not, you know, because
I'm all about artists trying new things. I'm all about trying new sounds and doing stuff, but there's also like a point where you go, has it been long enough that this is no longer monotonous? Like I don't want to be pigeonholed into one singular thing, but after some time it's just like, oh, that's that guy that does that stuff. Whereas it's like expand and then come back and get some new perspective and some new ideas. Because if you keep trying to make the same song over and over again, you're just going to make the same song over and over again. And where's the novelty in that? You know, you're not
growing as humans and like changing and evolving. And I think that that's indicative of someone who hasn't evolved in their regular life. Right. So it's kind of like, it's not interesting. You know, we want to see people's evolutions. We want to see the change.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a singer who sings a note. If you hold the note for too long, it's annoying. You got to add vibrato to it, right?
Absolutely.
It's the same thing. You know, you can't listen to the same song. Yeah.
I had a singing teacher who used to say, if you are supposed to repeat a line, like there's like a word or a line that you're supposed to say, like maybe 2, 3, 4 times in a row, you have to say it differently every single time. Like, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? You know, like you have to, you're repeating it for a reason. It's not because you just want to, you know, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Not because you're trying to say it, like, who am I? You know, you have to change it up.
You have to change it up. Well, same thing with like phrasing. We have to change up the phrasing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's the same thing. Like we as living beings are in a constant state of evolution and forward motion. So like, that's what we want to see. It's what we want to hear. And when we don't get it, we're disinterested.
Right. 100%.
Like nobody likes stagnation. Who wants to watch stagnation? Like nobody.
No one.
It festers, starts to smell. So, you know, nobody likes it. But so production, I want to make sure I get enough time to talk about production. Okay. So production, when did you start? Because you produced too.
Yeah.
So, and you said you did a bit of everything. So when did you start?
So I started producing in 2017. Yeah, 2017. I got out of a real hard relationship. I found myself crashing on homies' couches just to kind of figure out what the heck to do next because I was lost. And I just realized like I'm not giving myself all the opportunities that I need to be giving. And right around that, and I tried to start producing a couple other times in the past and always got like, it was too daunting. It was learning the programs, learning how to do everything from the ground up. I didn't have the commitment enough for it. And then I got, just before I got out of this relationship, I played one of the biggest shows I've ever played. I was direct support for Chris Lake.
Oh my God.
In DC. It was I mean, it was before he like blew up. It was like just after that song Boneless came out. Whatever. Which like yeah, exactly. Which was him and Steve Aoki, I think. But got all of the props for it. Anyone only cared about Steve Aoki. So Chris Lake was still playing at like the mid-size venue, not the huge venue, Echo Stage. He was playing at Soundcheck, and I was direct support. I was asked to do direct support for him, and I, not to toot my own horn, killed. I absolutely destroyed without going too hard, without playing any Chris Lake songs, without doing things that like, you know, a lot of people fall into those traps. And he like. And during my set, I had people coming up to me like, yo, who are you? Where do I follow you? Where do I find whatever? It's like, it wasn't the first time that like that had happened to me, but it was the first time that I realized that I was giving them a SoundCloud link that was sending them to a SoundCloud that had 1 hour mix on it with none of my music on it. It was just
God.
me playing other people's music. And I was like, you want to follow me, which is awesome. I appreciate that so much. But you're never gonna follow me and buy tickets to my show. You'll be excited when you see me opening up for somebody else who is making their own music. That needs to change.
Right.
And then like shortly after, like I went through like this whole like, you know, self-realization moment where everything happened, and then my relationship ended, and crashing on the couches. And I was living close enough to my restaurant job at the time that I could walk there, and I didn't need to drive anywhere. I had a grocery store near my house. So I was just like not going anywhere. I'm spending all this time at home when I'm not at work. And I was like, what do I do with my spare time? I have to start making music. And so that's what I did. Morning, noon, and night. If I wasn't working, I woke up, I watched tutorials. I listened to music production podcasts while I was walking to work. I'd get home and I'd try out whatever I could try to figure out on the computer. I watched intro videos on how to use Ableton forever. Well, actually, no. Actually, I started out on Reaper, which yeah, like free program. If you want to buy it, it's $70. It is as powerful, if not maybe more powerful than Ableton in and of itself. But it's free and it's complicated. It's open source, and there aren't a lot of resources out there for it. Ableton is much better at some things and much worse at other things. So if somebody doesn't have the money to get into music production, Reaper, seriously, you can use it for the rest of your life. It's phenomenal. But eventually, after really getting into it and making a couple little songs I wasn't super proud of, but I was happy about, my little brother, who was in college at the time, who's also brilliant with music, was like, hey, I kind of want to get Ableton. Do you want to split it with me? So instead of having to pay $800, we paid $400. And I did the same thing. I just like morning, noon, and night, tutorials in the morning, podcasts in the afternoon. When I get home from work, and then at night, production. I just kept going and going and going and going and going, until I had a couple songs that I was happy about, not super pumped about, but happy about. I started playing them in a couple of my sets. And they started getting okay reactions, not great. And then I started dating my most recent ex, who I traveled here with. And in the beginning, I was so inspired and so incredible. And I made still maybe one of the best songs I've ever made to this date. It has something wrong with it that I like, some file issue that's wrong with it, so I can't release it right yet. But still one of the coolest songs I've ever made. The reactions I get from this song are massive. And then things just kind of went downhill with COVID, and I was essential during COVID, so I didn't really get to spend all the time that everybody else did, like working on the creative stuff. And then I moved out here, and thank God I moved out here, because again, then I had some time to like make music again. And then Dan and I met, and A, his knowledge, and B, his studio, and C, the collective and the scene, and getting out there to actually like play shows has been the biggest refresher. Like I'm just like reborn. It's phenomenal. Like all the passion I had is just reignited. It's phenomenal.
That's amazing. Well, it's like you found the right path. So, okay, so you're producing tracks. What's your most recent track that you've produced?
I just released a remix of one of Dan's tracks called Talk Less. Very proud of that one. I definitely like it. It's out on all platforms. Go check it out.
Amazing. I will. I'm gonna check it out right now. Well, after this.
I have two more remixes in the works right now, one of which I will probably be able to release. The other one, it's probably copyrighted, and I probably can't actually release it officially, but I'll put it out on like SoundCloud for free download and stuff like that. And then I have some record label deals that I've been unfortunately putting off trying to get done because some of the programs have crashed, and I keep making excuses to them saying like, I'm trying to get into a studio where I can actually have access to these plugins. These plugins don't exist, or I can't get them on my new computer. They don't work with the M1 MacBook. I'm dying here. I need to make you your radio edit. I need to make you your your pre-master, but I can't right now. Yeah, so I'm working on it, but I have a release that should be coming out on Dad Bod Records at some point this year.
I can't wait.
I'm very excited.
So Dad Bod Records, what's that?
Yeah. So this guy, DJ JTJ, he's been in the scene in LA for a long time. Awesome guy, absolutely killer DJ. And started his record label, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and has had some really big names on there. He's done some stuff with like Sasha Rabati. He's done some stuff with I'm blanking on names now, but awesome guy. And I was at a birthday party with one of my friend's birthday parties, which we decided, because he's a DJ, to throw him an event at Pirate Studios. Just book out 3 rooms and then just play all the different rooms, like different DJs just jumping in and out in different rooms.
Oh,
and it was awesome. And Jeff, DJ JTJ, walks in and he's like, "Whose song is this?" I was like, "It's my song." He's like, where are you releasing it?" I was like, "Nowhere yet." And he's like, "Send it over to me. I'll sign this." It's like, okay, cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool thing about that. Let me go into this, because this is a big deal to me. That's a song I made. I call it's called Get a Little Weird. And I specifically set out to make that song to sound as bad as possible. And I recommend this to every producer who feels stuck, any creative who feels stuck. I tell them to do this all the time. Go try to make the worst thing you can possibly make.
Okay.
By doing that, you're no longer trying to make the best thing ever. You're not like, the perfectionism isn't there. You're trying to make something as bad as possible. If it's a little bad or if it's really bad, it doesn't matter. It's bad. It's supposed to be bad. Just move on and do the next step. Finish it. Get all the way through to the end and finish it. Do the thing that has been blocking you. You know, some people aren't good at making synths. Some people don't have great lead sound. Some people aren't good at the bass. Some people aren't good at mixing. Some people aren't good at mastering. Some people aren't good at these things, but you don't do them because you don't do them often. And you're so perfectionistic that you want it to be right. You want it to be perfect. And that's not what this is about. This is about finishing and getting through your block. Just make something bad. And I made the worst thing I could possibly make. And it is weird. It is the weirdest track. And literally the bass, like, I was so uninspired by the bass in this track that I just put straight quarter notes on one note. Boo, 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 boo. That's the whole bass line of this track. Every single element of this track is off key. Everything is in minor seconds and augmented fifths and diminished fifths, like clangy, dissonant, gross things. Nothing. Everything is chromatic. There's no key lock on this at all. And I went to do it to make it sound as bad as possible, and it's getting signed. Okay, just make the fucking track. Just make a track. It doesn't have to be good. We're all stuck in this perfectionistic mindset. That's not what it's about. Just finish something. You'll feel so much better when you do.
That's such good advice. That's such good advice. For real.
I tell everybody. I told my roommate the other day, my homegirl, I was like, she was trying to, like, she's a phenomenal singer. And she's like, "Yeah, but I want to sing things I know." I'm like, "Why?" She's like, you want to be a singer, right? And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Then you have to fuck up. You have to do something bad before. You have to do 100 things bad before it finally becomes great. You know, put in your hours, do it bad, be ridiculous. There's no judgment here. Just go for it."
Right. Just go for it. Well, that's the thing. That is the difference between the people that are actually doing it, is that they put themselves out there. Because if you don't, you're never going to get anything.
Right. You have to try it. You have to, like, and honestly, it's something that plagued me for most of my life. Is like, I'm a perfectionist, like really and truly a perfectionist. And I didn't want to release anything unless it sounded perfect. And at some point you realize, like, there's never perfect.
Never perfect. Never. No, it's, I mean, that's the thing. It's like that we learn this phrase, you know, practice means perfect when we're little, but it isn't. It's such a false sense of hope that you create. You can never, perfection is not something that you can ever achieve.
Better.
Practice means improvement. Exactly. Like
take a step.
Perfect is such a, you know, honestly, it's such bullshit. You just you have to just go for it. Yeah.
I'll bring it up because it's one of my most used story analogies or allegory. I don't know what you call it, but
yeah.
Just because if it's not on video about me talking about this kind of stuff, then I haven't done my job. There was a study done on a pottery class. At least this is how I heard it. I've actually heard 3 different versions of the story, so I'm just going to tell you my version. There was a study done on a pottery class by the psychology department. They took the pottery class, they split them in half, and they said, for this semester, this half of the class is going to be graded on how many bowls they can produce. I don't care what they look like. I don't care if they hold water. Like, they just need to be bowls. Pump them out. Just give me as many, and that's what you're graded on, your quantity. The other half of the class, they said, I need you to make me the best bowl you can possibly make me. You only need to turn in one. You can do it as many times as you want, but I just need the best bowl you can possibly make. I will be grading on the quality of your bowl. And at the end of the year, the half of the class that made the most bowls, the quantity class, also had better bowls than the quality side.
Yeah.
It's like,
amazing.
because you did it and you failed and you weren't held back by this perfectionism. Like, just make something bad, make it, dump it, go all the way through the steps. Because there's things about finishing a bowl or finishing a project that if you're stuck in this perfectionistic thing, you never get to practice that. And even if you do become amazing at the production journey, like, did you, like, making sounds and doing things, did you work on your mixdowns at all? Did you learn how to master a track? You're going to pay somebody to do that forever? Like, finish it. Figure out what the arrangement's going to be like. Like, that's not the same as just your sound design. Like, you have to do every step of it. It's a multifaceted project. You got to do it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. What great advice. I was going to ask you what advice you had. So you beat me to it. Yeah.
My advice is do it. Don't judge yourself. Like, you don't have to show other people this, but finish. Complete the thing, even if it sucks, even if you throw it away. Because, you know, years in the future, you could be like, I'm a much better producer than I used to be, and go back and take those ideas and do it better and do it the way that it should have been done. But if you never finish it, then you never moved on to the next idea or the next idea, and you never learned to finish the process. You never get it up there.
I was getting stuck in this fucking trying to like redo the song. I had this idea to like take this old classic, like old vintagey song that's now open domain and like fund it. Yeah. And it's cool, except that I'm getting stuck with trying to make this thing, you know what I mean? And so it's coming out. It's like I'm too in my head about it, you know?
Let me give you this as well. Sunk cost fallacy. You've spent so much time trying to, you know, something made, some idea that you had. Maybe the song is fucking awesome. Maybe that vocal's not right for it. Or maybe that kick that you're using is just wrong, but you spent like an hour trying to make that kick. So you feel like you have to have it in there. Or that synth sound, you like design the synth sound and it's like something about it's not working. Like, don't be afraid to save the sound and use it at another project later. Switch it up. Be destructive. Go for it. Go change some things up. Don't fall into that sunk cost fallacy where just because I spent an hour working on something, it has to be used.
Totally. Yeah. That's such a good point. It's okay to like throw stuff away. And I do that as a writer.
It's
like,
hard.
I'm like, as a writer, if I write something, I'm not stuck to it, attached to it at all. And when I go back to edit, I'm like, it's very easy for me to see like, gross. And like, I cut stuff out, but I have my 10,000 hours. You know what I mean? Like, that's my profession. Exactly, so like, it's like, I can quickly do it because I can quickly see it. And when you are learning something, it is easy to get stuck in the head and in the ego because you don't have the confidence yet. So you're
Absolutely.
relying on this like external validation, which is what you believe sounds good. And if it doesn't sound as good as you think it should, then you're a failure. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Well,
it's so
honestly, the worst part is that the English language or language in general is either right or it's wrong. You know, like you either put prepositions at the end of sentences, you know, and
right,
you
right,
miss
right, right.
commas and periods and run on and, you know, things like that, or you don't, you know. And so either it in syntax it works or it doesn't. In music, there's no answer.
There anything goes. I know. It's just like what
No,
sounds good. I know.
noise music exists and people enjoy it.
Well, you just signed a track. That
It was
is
purposefully bad.
yeah, yeah. That is
First half of it,
not
the
at
first
all.
half of it sounds like clanging chords, like piano chords, like playing all like your cat stepping on a piano, and then or like a bowling ball falling on a piano. And the second half sounds like circus music, like super like weird and creepy. Like, and it got signed to a record label.
Yeah.
Okay, like
Well, it sounds so different than everything else because you intentionally made something bad.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because nobody here has heard anything like it.
Yep.
Nobody's hearing diminished fifths.
That's what I'm saying. Who's playing tritones in dance music? Who's playing tritones? Get out of here.
Well,
No
exactly. That's what I mean. That's one of the reasons why I was like having a hard time with the one I'm working on is because I'm basically taking a jazz ballad from 1927,
cool.
which is like, you know what I mean? It has diminished fifths. It has augmented sevenths. It has jazz sevenths. It has jazz diminished sixths. Okay.
Ooh,
It's like, oh,
that's cool.
That's my favorite.
Cool.
That's my favorite. But the thing is like to try. It's hard. It's hard. And I'm going to probably go back to it. I think it's maybe just too advanced for me right now. But in like a year, probably won't be. But like right now, you know, I'm still trying to figure out how to best use reverb and compression. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe I should not try to create songs with a diminished sixth.
And I fully encourage you to, in this track that you're working on with the jazz vocal on it, I fully encourage you to steal 2 or 3 little things that you're doing in that track and port them over to a new track and start working on it from there.
Okay. Okay.
Like, so you don't start from a blank page.
Okay.
Set up your templates. Set up some good things that you can have. You already have drums in there. You already have a place to put your synths. You already have a couple instances of, I don't know, Serum or Operator that are made for your bass line. So you're not staring at a blank page. Just like in writing, you know, you have to have something you're doing. And if you've already spent time working on a cool like drum groove and it's just not working right now, take the drum groove, throw it over somewhere else.
Yeah. You're so right. It's like I don't have to. I can patch like Legos and like kind of move around.
Built it. Do it.
Totally amazing. Call me a master quilter. Call me the queen quilter.
I will. Okay. Queen quilter.
Here we go. Coming up at you.
Here we go.
Mike, what a joy this has been. This interview went by so fast because it was so engaging. You really are quite a delight. It's no surprise to me that you've been able to do as much as you have in only 4 years of being here. And partly of that being during COVID when nobody could even fucking do anything. Okay. So you're in the right place. I'm so happy that you're here in LA and I'm going to see you this weekend. This will air past that, but like, I can't wait. I love Club Evil. You guys are the best. I mean, honestly, you guys are so
love having you there. Thank you so
welcoming. Oh, I can't wait to come back. I think, I'll be there. I'll be at your afters on the 19th. So, okay.
On your birthday, so I can give you a big birthday hug.
On my birthday. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I'm so excited. Yeah. I'll be fresh off of a set. So I'll probably be pretty hammered because I'm going to be like sober until my set.
I got you on a backstage wristband. Don't worry about it. I got you. I'm somewhere to hang out.
Birthday backstage. Yes. Thank you. Okay. I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for this. This is invaluable to me. The advice that you just
gave me. Thank you so much. This was awesome. I had a great time. I'll do it anytime. Give me a call. Okay.
Yes. Anytime. Well, I'll have you guys back on. I would love to actually get both you and Dan in the future together. Because you guys are such a dynamic duo, like that energy. And like, I want to capture and then share. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay. All right, Mike, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you again.
Peace, love, and house.
You too, baby. Bye.